While circumcision of men is mandatory, circumcision of women is not. Female genital mutilation is an unimaginable violation and is not an Islamic practice, as some may believe. It is based on social and cultural traditions rather than on religious teachings. Yana is a 25-year-old Christian woman from a village in North Africa.
I was circumcised as a very young girl. It was common practice in my village. My mother would have been ostracized if she had tried to interfere or stop it from happening. I have been out of my country for 7 years now, and I have a daughter too, back home. And no, I did not have her circumcised.
As with Yana, it is only through dialogue and education that misperceptions can be broken down and misunderstandings avoided. It is only then that differences between cultural, traditional and religious practice can be truly understood.
The tearing down of misconceptions is upon each individual Muslim, each and every Muslim, because in our behavior and in our example in front of people, that's what tears these things down.
The 5 Pillars of Islam.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
This is the testimony, or Shahada, which states that there is no God but God, and that Muhammad is his messenger. This is one of the first pillars of Islam. There are 5 pillars or principles that support Islam. Salah, or prayer, is one of these pillars. It is said that a person can never be a true Muslim unless he or she performs the 5 daily prayers that Allah has commanded. These prayers are performed at dawn, Fajr, noon, Zuhr, mid-afternoon, Asr, sunset, Maghrib, and nightfall, Isha. Before praying, we make Niyyah, which is the intention to pray to Allah. In accordance with the practices of the Prophet, peace be upon him, a strict cleansing ritual is performed before prayer, called wudu. We should not use more water than is necessary. First we wash our hands, face, arms, and finally the feet. All prayers are made facing the direction of the Kaaba in Mecca, no matter where we are in the world.
As a Muslim, practicing the 4 out of the 5 pillars of Islam, inshallah I'll do Hajj soon, I do the 4 pillars for now, is something very special to me. Doing the 5 pillars or the 4 pillars for me is something above the material world, is something in the metaphysical world. It's something that cannot be described unless you do it. You will not understand what I say unless you try it. It's another level of happiness.
Giving zakat to the poor or less fortunate is a very big part of Islam. The minimum amount is set at 2.5% of one's annual financial saving. Businesses are also required to pay 2.5% of their annual profits to the needy. The act of giving is to show solidarity with the poor in one's own community. Zakah should be given to nearest needy relatives, neighbors, or for eligible causes in the country where we reside. It is a religious duty to give, and the receiver's right to take. It is believed that the giver will receive ajr, or blessings. These blessings are multiplied during the holy month of Ramadan. Fasting during the month of Ramadan is compulsory for all able Muslims. When a Muslim fasts, he does not eat, drink, smoke, say or do anything wrong. According to the Gregorian calendar, the start of Ramadan is 10 days earlier every year, in line with the Islamic Hijri calendar. Fasting is not only a physical act, but also a purification of the soul. Whilst fasting, we are expected to abstain from all earthly pleasures, from food to water and sex. This is, however, only one component of the fast. The other is strengthening one's spiritual commitment to God.
Ramadan is such an important time for me, perhaps the most important time of the year for me, as it is for all Muslims. It's the time when we fast so we can feel a little bit with the poor and the hungry. It's the time when the Quran was revealed to our Prophet, so it's a very sacred and holy month. It's the time when all the family gathers on the ceremony of breaking the fast. So it's a very family-oriented time, and also it's the time when we go to the mosque and pray Taraweeh, which is a kind of prayer after we break our fast. So the whole society comes together at the mosque to pray. So it's a very nice time, socially, spiritually, ethically, anything.
If you eat or drink anything whilst you're fasting, your fast is broken, but if you do so by mistake, then it is not. The pilgrimage, or Hajj, is the journey to Mecca for all Muslims who are physically and financially able to perform this voyage once in their lifetime. The pilgrimage itself is the final act of directing one's life to God. In Mecca, it is the one time where a Muslim stands with his brothers in Islam, with the same will to obey and worship God above everything else. It's a time when Muslims concede all worldly pleasures and refined luxuries, political and social status, and stand as equals before God.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm writing this letter to share some of my experiences of Hajj. Somehow I do feel like I have made a greater connection to Allah, Islam, and fellow Muslims. I tell you, it is the most humbling experience. The day I stepped back into the comfort of our home, my heart was filled in its entirety with gratitude for all the blessings that we have. There were days when we spent hours upon hours moving just a few kilometers amidst masses of people. It is so informative with practical lessons to support spiritual theory, and for me personally, it was a deeply moving experience that has helped me to answer so many questions within myself. I don't know how long the influence of the Hajj will last. Somehow worldly matters were so far removed from those 7 days in Mecca. However, I hope and pray that my experiences will remain embedded, at the very least, as my conscience, if not in my actions.
All 5 pillars are integral to supporting a Muslim's daily life. A true believer not only fasts and prays, but is someone who has totally surrendered himself or herself to God. Sharia. Every Muslim is under an obligation to fashion his entire life in accordance with the dictates of the Holy Quran and Sunnah, and is to observe at every step the distinction between what is right, halal, and what is wrong, haram. As man-made legal systems bind social codes of conduct in Western societies, so too Sharia law sets the guidelines in Islam. With high crime rates, broken homes, mental illness, chaos and confusion, so-called progressive, modern and enlightened man-made laws are questioned in Islam. The first primary source of Sharia is the Quran, the Muslim holy book, which was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad by God in the year 622 AD. Muslims believe the Quran is the source of divine laws that govern their everyday lives. The Sunnah is the second primary source of Sharia. Sunnah is the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad and everything he did and said during his lifetime. The Sunnah is considered to be the second source of Sharia after the Quran, and by no means less important. Sharia governs all aspects of a Muslim's life, from marriage to death, to education, to social security, inheritance, property rights, and even economic systems.
إنما يطبق الحد إذا كان هناك خلافة إسلامية دولة إسلامية وهناك
For had or punishment to be practiced, there must first be an Islamic nation, an emir responsible for this nation, and a committee of Islamic scholars and judges specialized in these matters. They alone can decide whether had should be practiced.
وجوبا للجرم الذي ارتكبه الإنسان.